after it for a period of time. And he doesn't get the record for jaundice, but he came pretty close to how jaundice you can get and still survive afterwards. But he was sick in the intensive care unit here last summer. When Mr. Marcello was walking through London, he was kind enough to come and spend some time with Mr. Cameron up in the intensive care unit. And as Dr. Murata said, seeing patients so well and completely normal in every respect is a tremendous inspiration for other individuals who are about to undergo life-saving and life-enhancing surgery. So, Mr. Cameron, thank you for coming to this event today, and I invite you to come up and introduce Mr. Marcello.
Thanks, Dr. Wall. I consider it a privilege and a pleasure to be able to come today and share with you, and especially to introduce George. As has been indicated, I had a long road here at the hospital, but I had the best care that anyone could ever get, and consequently I was home before Christmas, and I was able to enjoy Christmas with my family, and I at one point wondered if I would ever make it, but we did, and I think you have to admit I don't look too bad today. And some of my former nurses are looking at me and saying, they remember that they've seen parts of me that I haven't even seen. But nonetheless, it's a delight to be here. Let me tell you a little bit about George Marcello. He contacted me some time back now because he so much wanted to do something that was meaningful to help donors and prospective donors understand how important it is that they be willing to give a legacy of life to someone else. And he talked with me in my office along with some of my colleagues and asked if we could do something to help him. And we were only too glad to do it, even though at that juncture I had still not had my transplant. But I was starting to look pretty awful, and I gained weight every couple of weeks, and we'd lose it again and all that sort of thing. But we were able to make some contacts and to introduce him to other people so that it would make it a little easier for them on the trip. And that, in cooperation with many other people, we were able to see that happen in Ontario, and that was really great. When George came to me subsequent to my surgery and mentioned that he was now going to look at crossing Canada to make it even more significant and more able to contact as many people as possible, I was delighted to hear it. And the one thing that I've learned with George is if he says he's going to do it, you can take that to the bank, because he will do it, and he'll contact many people, and he'll build relationships and friendships that'll be life-lasting, and I believe it will have a significant difference on who will be able to be the recipient of donations in future days. So for me, as we're about to embark on this next journey, I take great pleasure in introducing to you George Marcello, and you're going to enjoy him. He's a very enthusiastic guy and someone who will do much to help the program, and that's our desire to do as much as we can to help others. George, come and speak to us.
First of all, thank you very much, everyone that was up here for the very kind words. That's where I get my fuel from, because I do get some very discouraging days sometimes to continue on. And the warm receptions I've been getting here from London have just been awesome. I want to really just add on what how we're going to go about what we're doing, and to accomplish the goals of doubling the rate of organ donations. We are associated with many groups and many organizations right across Canada at this point. And what we're going to do on June 20th, we're going to have our big kickoff date. We feel that the best way to reach people is through publicity. That's been the #1 thing that most organizations and groups have agreed on, that there's just not enough publicity out here in Canada when it comes to It has in other countries that are doing more successful, and that's part of the reason why they're doing more successful. So our goal is to make this a mainstream subject so that everybody can think about it and talk to friends about it and talk to the people at work, and it can become a more common subject. And then, of course, I think the steps into developing a better system here in Canada, which, you know, there's certain areas that need to be targeted to develop a more constructive system, a more adaptable system, a friendlier system, will take place also, because I think that's the other area that Canada is facing right now is that I don't think we have the best appropriate system to accommodate if we did get a more flow of organ donations. So those are two general areas that we're going to hope to accomplish while we do this. And on June the 20th, what we're doing is we're having a big kickoff in Toronto, and we're generally going to be walking through the streets of Toronto at that point. And at 12 o'clock, at 12 noon, we're going to have a ceremonial gathering at Queen's Park, and we're calling it the lighting of the torch, which I brought with me. And it's this Olympic torch over here that was donated to us by a very small company, Aspire Marketing, in the States, and they make all the torches for all the Olympics, and they donated this to us. We are going to have, it's not confirmed yet, but either Premier Harris, Mayor Lassman, or Chief Fantino to light this torch, and they are going to pass this torch to someone that's on the waiting list. And then that person will pass it on to a person that, from a family donor that donated the organs, and then that person is going to pass it on to another person. And we're going to keep relaying this torch right throughout Toronto that day. And the next day, we're going to keep relaying it through the community of Mississauga, and so on throughout over 500 cities and towns. And so far, I have to tell you, we've been getting thousands of people come forward. So we are looking at this torch as being the symbol and representative of this whole project, because it's going to symbolize hope, harmony, and a spirit for the continuance of life. And Wayne McIsaac over here, he's our director of all our technical operations. We're building a website that will give us a data bank, so we'll be able to get Canadians' opinions about this subject. We'll be able to get concerns, questions, all put into the website as we're going from community to community. And also we're going to have a movie video on this website, where we'll be able to capture all the precious moments of all the torch carriers, and people can click into this website and see who's carrying the torch that day worldwide. And we think that kind of enthusiasm is needed to generate a more positive feeling towards organ donation. We're also in cooperation with the Canadian Olympic Association. They're actually our partners now, and they're going to bring all their athletes to this event, so we can get their athletes to carry the torch in every one of their respective communities. I'm making a lot of noise here. We also are in the process of affiliating ourselves with the CFL, with the Blue Jays, and we're actually holding a big press conference at the Sky Dome on June the 9th, at the Sky Dome at the Hard Rock Cafe. They're hosting it, and we're going to have the two birds there. That's the two mascots from the Blue Jays. They're going to do some along with some of the athletes from the Olympic Association and many, many other people. We are all very pleased with the harmony effect that's happening with all the different groups, ranging from the Kidney Foundation to the Liver Foundation to the hospitals, how we're all joining up to take on this issue. I think it's fair to say that this is a crisis because, you know, it's happening. We're one of the few countries where it's at this low rate. I think we have to address it as such. And whoever we got to get to come out there to bring as much publicity, we're going to do it, you know, and we're going to try and make every event better than the last one as we're going from community to community. And hopefully we will have planted that positive seed in Canadians, and you know, when it comes to their thinking about organ donations, it will be one that they will become organ donors. And as a result, we'll be able to save more lives. And that's going to be the bottom line. And the other interesting thing that was mentioned is that also we're bringing a lot of hope and comfort to the people that are in pain and suffering, to the families, people that are on the waiting list. That's the other aspect of this also, because not everybody's going to make it. So if we can bring about a good feeling, you know, that's the other thing that we're going to hope to accomplish. I also want to bring Joan up here just for a second. Joan? I put her on the spot before, so she's used to it. I met Joan when I came to London, and she was on the waiting list also at that point. And she was one of the soldiers that said, you know, I'm raring to do whatever it takes or whatever. And so what she did that next morning, she was very, very sick. She walked with me from London to St. Thomas, and she helped out with a lot of other things. When you're on the road, you get a lot of dirty laundry. So she let us use her house to clean all the laundry and everything. And she's been... Yeah. So, you know, she's just been a champion, and she did receive an organ, and presently she's back on the list again. But she's one of the most courageous people I ever met, and she's just got a bundle of enthusiasm and whatever.
This guy's my inspiration. Thank you.
So I think, you know, as we're doing this, as we're unfolding this walk and we're trying to put all the pieces together, I have to mention that we do have a very big financial challenge to meet all the expenses. So as we're announcing, as I'm making this announcement today, and also with our June 9th media announcement at the Sky Dome, we're going to try and encourage people and corporations and business to help us with the enormous expense that's going to be attached to this, and it's in the neighborhood of about $500,000 to do this effectively and properly. And that I got to get used to getting into the fundraising part of this, because I never did that before in Ontario. I was, you know, but there's expenses that's attached to these things, and I need to accustom myself a little bit more into asking for funds while I'm doing this. And that's the other part of the announcement that I wanted to make, is the fundraising part of it. So once again, I really want to thank everybody for coming out here, and I'm looking forward to coming through London, and it will be July 27th, which probably by no coincidence, that's my birthday. So it's going to be a very special day for me, and you know, just once again, thank you, Kate, for organizing everything here, and Jim for being such an ardent supporter of all this, and gathering everything in the southwestern Ontario region to you know, make this as eventful as possible and as productive as possible. And Joan, of course, and the Kidney Foundation. I'm sorry, I forgot your name. Ken. Sorry, Ken. And everybody else that came here. Thank you very much. And what we're saying now is this is Canadians helping Canadians. Together we can save lives.